The Chicago Cubs get themselves another victory, this time coming up against the crosstown rival White Sox. The game was close for a while, but the Cubs busted open in the end. They tried again on Saturday. Also, what the heck is going on with Edward Cabrera? We got to talk about it. And then last but not least, I think the direction is clear for where the clubhouse needs to get better at. And it actually might shock you where I think they need to go. Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of Chicago Cubs Central, your number one spot for all things Chicago Cubs. Do me a favor, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe so that you never miss any of what we have going on over here on Chicago Cubs Central. Thank you all so much for tuning in to this episode. Guys, the Chicago Cubs do go ahead and get their 29th victory on the season. 29-16 now is the Chicago Cubs record. They dropped the White Sox back down to 500, 22-22 on the season. The Chicago Cubs and White Sox will go at it again tomorrow. On Saturday, they have another game. Gonna be a good one in that showdown. Actually, guys, I will be at the game tomorrow. So tomorrow's episode after the game is gonna look a little bit different because I'll either probably be in the car or still in the stadium as I am doing the episode. But it will be Jameson Taillon, who is 2-2, going up against the best pitchers the White Sox have to throw out there. That's Davis Martin, who is 5-1 with a 1.62 ERA. This dude's a right-hand pitcher, and dude is nasty with it. Like I said, so I'm excited to see what he's able to do for the White Sox. I'm also excited to see what Jameson Taillon is able to do for the Chicago Cubs. But with that being said, listen, the rivalry between these two, if you want to call it a rivalry, it's been a rivalry for as long as I can remember and been born. It's always been a rivalry between the White Sox and the Cubs. And again, it's always been fun. It's always been in good fun between these two teams. I think these two have a great deal of respect for each other. I think that the Cubs have a great deal of respect for where the White Sox are headed. I think that the White Sox understand that the Cubs are just that elite class of organization right now in the MLB with just what they're able to put together and what they're able to do. The fans are a little bit more petty than the actual clubs and ownerships, but at the end of the day, like I said, the Chicago Cubs are at the top of the mountain when it comes to Chicago sports in general. I mean, it's to me, it's Bears, Cubs, and that's interchangeable, especially if the Cubs end up winning the Central Division, such as the Bears won the NFC North this past season. A few takeaways from the game that I saw. I like the fact that the Cubs were playing what I like to call risky business in this one. That means runners in scoring position. The Chicago Cubs handled business when they have runners in scoring position. Not many left on base in this one. And again, that's how you're able to see them blow this game wide open. And it didn't happen with a bunch of hard hits. It didn't happen with a bunch of home runs. It actually honestly happened with the Chicago Cubs just making sure that, that they got the key hits when they needed, willing to take their walks when the bases were loaded, and just being able to do the smart things and just play good fundamental baseball. There are games out there, guys, where good fundamental baseball will beat home runs all day, every day. Make no mistake about it. This White Sox club right now is home run or die. Like if they get 2 or 3 home runs, especially with guys on base, that's how you see them making these comebacks. That's how you see them winning these baseball games. And again, it's fun to watch. The White Sox, honestly, are a fun club to watch. But they're going to frustrate their fan base a lot because when those home runs stop or the wind's blowing in and it's cheating you or stealing those home runs away from you, it's not going to be as fun to watch the White Sox play baseball because it's going to be a lot of frustrating games that they should have, quote unquote, won, but didn't win because the home run ball just wasn't going for them. That's why we have accepted with the Chicago Cubs, I feel like in the organization, that it ain't all ride or die or live or die by the home run. A base hit, a double, like I said, even a single, even a walk. If the bases are loaded, there are multiple ways to skin a cat here when it comes to scoring runs. And I would like to see the Chicago Cubs use, and we did see in this game, utilize a lot of those ways in order to win baseball games. And like I said, that's just what it's all about. Whatever it takes to win a baseball game. And again, we saw that from the Chicago Cubs today. But with that being said, I do have to talk to you guys about Edward Cabrera. The big story coming out of this game. Obviously, you love the win. You love love beating the White Sox, obviously. But at the end of the day, you look at Edward Cabrera in this game. The Chicago Cubs give him a 3-run lead. 4-1 was the score. Edward Cabrera turns around and walks 2 batters. Both those batters come around to score. Edward Cabrera then has to leave the game in the bottom of the 5th. Does not get a quality start out of him. Does not get an opportunity to win another, to get notch up another win. And again, I guess the question that we're asking here that you're going to see, and you're going to hear other podcasters and other people talk about, you may not hear necessarily Cubs affiliates talk about it, but there are some concerns with Edward Cabrera, guys. I don't know if he's injured or if it's the pressure. And this is what I tweeted out. I'm like, I can't tell you if he's injured or if it's the pressure, because you got to remember something. For as long as Edward Cabrera has been pitching in the MLB, he hasn't really had the pressure of being a guy or the guy on a team. I mean, like I said, he's a flamethrower. Don't get me wrong. But the way he struggled in this game to throw strikes, to find the zone. And I mean, it was to the point it almost looked like the White Sox hitters were just sitting, just like they knew he was going to throw, and they knew he wasn't going to throw strikes. And they were willing to take their walks. They weren't biting on his off-speed stuff. They wasn't biting on this stuff that was outside of the zone. And anything that was inside of the zone, they put into the bleachers. A la Colson Montgomery, who got a home run off of him to tie the game up 1-1. Guys, this game never should have been this close. The Cubs should have blew them out 10-1. Tops. Just being honest with you. Javier Assad did give up another home run late. But the 2 walks are what came back to haunt Edward Cabrera, and really what had Cub fans looking like, really? You're really struggling right now with the 4-1 lead? You can't throw strikes to go get guys out? You had to throw 26 to 30 pitches in an inning, and you don't even complete the inning? These are all alarming signs when you're talking about a guy that I thought coming in was going to be your number 1, number 2. Now remember, at the beginning of the season, when the season first started, we were looking at Edward Cabrera, we were looking at the Cubs, we were looking at the starting pitching rotation, and they went Matthew Boyd, and then then after that they went Cade Horton, and then after that I believe they probably went Jameson Taillon, and then they went Edward Cabrera. And like I did multiple episodes, where I had guests on, and I'm talking to them. I'm like, either they know something we don't know, or they're trying to hide something, or something's going on, because there's no way you can sell me. And literally all the talking pundits all summer long, oh yeah, the Chicago Cubs did a great job. They went out, they got their guy. This is a person that they wanted in their organization, a person that they wanted to get their hands on for a long time. And they're excited about getting him in there. They wanted him. Jed has wanted him. Tommy Hotovy has wanted him. So like I said, for it, and like I said, they just lauded how awesome he was. And like I said, for me, I'm worried. I'm worried, guys. I'm worried that he's either injured and trying to play through a small injury, or I'm worried that he just ain't comfortable with the magnitude of what this season means. Like, there's pressure, guys, on this season. Make no mistake about it. The Chicago Cubs will have pressure. They are expected. They are on pace right now to win 109 games. There's pressure for pitchers. And if you're coming from an organization where there really were no expectations, just go out there and just pitch, to, okay, now the fan base is looking at you. Now, you know what I'm saying, they're talking about you on the MLB network every single time you pitch. Now they're talking about you on ESPN. Now you're going to have marquee games. Think about it. When's the last time you seen Miami have a marquee game? Who's Miami's rivalry? You go from all of that to pitching against the Chicago White Sox in the Crosstown Classic. You're going to pitch against the Pirates, another rivalry for the Chicago Cubs. You're going to pitch against the Reds, another rivalry for the Chicago Cubs. You're going to pitch against the Cardinals, the biggest rivalry for the Chicago Cubs. And you will, at one point or another, see those damn Brewers, the biggest rivalry right now for the Chicago Cubs. And there's pressure in that. There's expectation in this. The Chicago Cubs have to figure something out. Tommy Hotovy, Casey Jacobson, you guys are going to have to figure something out. You guys are going to have to get in there and really, really work with Edward Cabrera. And I think they tweaked some things for him. And I think their tweaks actually hurt more than they helped, which is saying a lot. Because those guys have made reclamation projects their thing. And I'm not saying Edward Cabrera is a reclamation project, because he isn't. Dude's a stud. He's still young. He's still got time to figure this thing out. But I'm nervous. You absolutely had to go out and you had to go get a pitcher. You had to go get another starter for this team. Sure. But at the same time, there were multiple pitchers you could have gotten. You didn't have to land on Edward Cabrera. And now there's talk of you doubling back and going and making that trade for Sandy Alcantara, which I don't know if Miami's willing to do that, considering they considering how Owen Casey has fallen off. I don't know, guys. We'll see. But in the vein of that, my last and final topic for today, a lot of people have been talking, like I said, when you watch MLB Network, when you listen to anything on Apple, or you listen to other podcasts, a lot of people have been talking about the expectation that the Cubs add another starting pitcher to the mix, which they absolutely very well could. Should they is another question. And here's my thought behind this, guys. The Chicago Cubs theoretically have gotten pretty good starts out of all of their starting pitchers. And they have a plethora of starters that they can go to. And you're still going to get back Justin Steele at some point. But do you really have a lockdown bullpen presence? That's really the question here. That's really what we need to be asking ourselves. Like, we have guys that get outs, sure. Phil Maton, he's okay. Jacob Webb, yeah, he's all right. Caleb Thielbar, when he get back, he'll be good. Dane Palencia, 100 miles per hour, flamethrower. But I would love to see the Chicago Cubs go out and get two arms that can really, really do some damage and just overpower and strike guys out. One of those arms is a former Cub. I would not mind the Chicago Cubs, especially with the Boston Red Sox struggling, calling on the name of Aroldis Chapman to come back once again for the Cubs. Because we need it. We need bullpen help. We need strong arms that can overpower you. We need guys that can take over the game if your starter can't log you good minutes. Good outs. Sorry, good minutes. I don't know. We'll see. What do you guys thought? Do you think the Cubs need a starter more or a reliever more? Let me know your thoughts in the section below. But listen, I appreciate you guys. That's my episode for today. Of course, we go ahead and fly that W. I will be at the game tomorrow on Saturday. Cannot wait. Hopefully we don't get rained out. Fingers crossed on that one, because I'm not coming back Sunday. But listen, I appreciate you guys. Until next time, go Cubs, go.
Thank you for watching another episode of Chicago Cubs Central, the #1 spot for all Chicago Cubs content. Remember to like, share, subscribe for more Cubs content.